Thanks for tuning in. I am Angela DiMarco, co-founder and chief creative officer of Phenom Publishing. Today we have something really special for you. Dana Sardano, also co-founder of Phenom Publishing and the editor-in-chief, sits down with our very first Phenom author, Ann Marie Skordy. They're going to discuss Ann Marie's just evolution and who she is, and also talk about her first book that we published together, Happy Hour at the Water's Edge. Adorable, whimsical, amazing. We're going to put a link that you can purchase the book on Amazon. But it's a phenomenal story, and Ann Marie is a phenomenal woman. And we're just so happy to be able to collaborate with her on her works. We feel honored. So please enjoy this beautiful interview. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at editors@phenom-publishing.com. So enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ubuntu Fish Gallery in Stuart, Florida. This is actually a very special broadcast we're putting out of Ubuntu Fish today, because I'm sitting here with Ms. Ann Marie Skordy, my very, very dear friend and author of Happy Hour at the Water's Edge. And that has been published through Phenom Publishing. We'll get to all that. But we're here to talk about all things Ann Marie, all things Happy Hour. Yeah.
I'm good at that.
And just how we got here and the purpose of this amazing book and this, if I may say so, super cool friendship. I just want to open with, there are so many things that we could talk about. I mean, we could talk all day. There's lots of crazy, kooky things going on behind the scenes. But I have to share briefly how Ann Marie and I met and how we wound up in this place that we're sitting in right now. And you're only seeing a snapshot of it. This place is magnificent, but that's for another day. Ann Marie, it's like, how do you cut out all the pieces to make it an interesting story? Long story short, I'm on the interwebs, right? I'm on Instagram promoting some of my stuff, and some rando going by Streamliner Spirit likes something that I did, and it just caught my eye. And when I looked into it, I found Ann Marie. At the time, I was living in Jupiter Farms, which is a rural community in South Florida. That is also completely random. Like, I'm going to move out into the woods for whatever reason when I decided to be an artist. Again, a story for another day. But she likes my stuff. I look her up. I see that she's a transgender, and I don't really understand that, but I do understand it's kooky. So I was like, ooh, and I looked into it even further. Again, yada, 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 cut to the chase. I wind up setting up a reading with Ann Marie because I just, on some level, had to know her. And we come to find out that not only does she also live in Jupiter Farms.
Yes, I did.
Weird. But she moved there maybe a few months before I did. And she also lived in Fort Lauderdale initially, where I had lived, and she was about 4 blocks away. She rode her bike to my house at one point. So we become fast friends. We have a lot in common. We wind up collaborating on some projects together, and then we wind up having this idea to create, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we created this gallery where the artists and the intuitives come together? And we created this space together. And I want to stop there because then I could go into all these other things. But we created the space together. And again, it's an artist gallery, an intuitive lounge, and developed just a beautiful friendship. Since then, we have gone our separate ways. We have remained friends. We have reconnected to create or to publish Happy Hour at the Water's Edge. So with all of that said, set the stage. I'm glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And anybody who's watching this who knows Ann Marie knows that she's very private. I was going to say upstanding, but I'd have trouble keeping the giggle back.
Please.
And I'm
Don't lie.
But she's a very private person. So the fact that you're willing to sit here and have this conversation with me is, well, I appreciate it. It's a testament to our friendship.
That's only because I'm not scared of you.
I work so hard at scary too. No, all right.
No, thank you. Yeah, thanks for doing this. This is super cool.
Yeah. So we're here really to talk about your book, but I want your backstory a little bit before we get into the book. You cool with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Leave me.
So firstly, I want to know, what was the path that you were instructed to follow? Like growing up, you're like, you're supposed to go to school and become a fill in the blank.
You know what? I never felt that pressure to become something specific. When I was graduating, when you're in high school, whatever, and you're going to go to college, which I was going to go. I don't know why. I just was going to go. That was always a natural thing. And my main goal was to get out of the little town in upstate New York where I lived, where it was very, very cold. And I just wanted to get to warm weather and the beach. That was my goal. But I also wanted to, in my mind, I wanted to write for Rolling Stone magazine. Like that was what I wanted to do. So with that in mind, I was applying to schools that had journalism programs.
Where were the schools? They're north, down south?
The one I ended up going to was in Radford, Virginia. And like, I thought Virginia was all beach, like Virginia Beach, right? So I applied there and I got in, and when I go to orientation, it was in the mountains. It was far from the beach, but it didn't matter anyway. So that's I never really felt any pressure. My parents never put pressure on me. It was all about whatever you want to do, just do.
Nice. And what was your degree in? Because I always chuckle. What did you study?
Oh God. Well, what happened was when I got there to that school, of course, I just was going to write for Rolling Stone. That was my goal, right? So I never looked into the journalism program, which turned out it was only PR. So that didn't really line up with Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
And I went to one class and the guy, all he was pushing was PR. And so I'm like, I'm going to change my major. And I started doing that year. I started, like, it was aerobics time, right? So this chick would come to the dorm and do aerobics with us. And I was like, this is super fun. I'm going to open my own aerobics studio. I'm going to change my major to business, So that's what I did. So
the wisdom of an 18-year-old.
Yeah, so that was it. So I switched majors to business and then transferred. I was like, I loved where I was, but I wanted the beach. So I ended up transferring out to San Diego State, got my beach in school there. And I ended up getting a degree in business, which I hated every minute. But I sucked it up and did it.
Well, it's funny because that's what I was dying to hear you say. Because when Ann Marie and I, when we were creating this business together, it was really two people just going, hey, I know some intuitive people and I know some artists. Let's create this business. Meanwhile,
okay.
my background's in special education and I know nothing about Ann Marie other than I met her on the internet and I thought she was super cool. Yes, this is wisdom right here, folks. And then in the midst of us doing it, she was like, oh yeah, I got my degree in business. This is after we decided. This is after we were trudging forward. And she was like, yeah, I
don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it. But we did it. And we wound up here. So I thought that was pretty funny. But what I'd like to know is how you made the transition from graduating with a business degree, you're going to open your own aerobic studio, and then you wind up going off and traveling the high seas.
So what happened with that is I'm in my last month of college. I'm graduating in a month and I'm freaking out because I hate my major. I don't want to do anything with it. I'm like, what am I going to do? And so anyway, I'm bartending at this bar. That's how I worked in bars and restaurants. So I was working that night and I'm hanging out at work, bartending, and this dude rocks in and he's got a funky accent and he's like, I just came in from Montserrat. I'm like, where's Montserrat? And he's like, it's in the British West Indies. You should go. And I'm like, and he's telling me all about this groovy place. And I'm like, I'm going. And so he gave me this dude's phone number. He's like, when you get there, call this guy. And I'm like, okay. So the next day I went to because this was back when they had travel agents, went to the travel agency. I think that's where I applied for the passport or whatever. I don't even remember. I think I went and just bought a one-way ticket. And she's like, you need a passport. Went and applied for the passport. So I bought a one-way ticket to Montserrat, got my passport. A couple of days after I graduated, I jumped on a plane with a carry-on bag and one way into Montserrat. And that's how that started.
It's really the beauty of it, or you could call it the dumbness of a 20-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Because I had situations like that too.
Right.
Somebody's like, "Who wants to go study in Italy for the summer?" I'm like, "No money, not
Right.
a dime."
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you're on a plane. And as we get older, we kind of overthink things, and we let the fear seep in, and we let the what ifs in. I can't do that. But at 20 years old,
you're
ignorant.
Like, ignorance is bliss, man. It's a protection in and of itself. I totally believe in that.
Yeah, totally. So now, how many years would you say? Well, you wound up in the yachting industry.
Yes.
And how many years? With a couple decades, you were there for a while.
Yeah. So I bombed around from place to place for probably a decade.
So what were some of the places you wound up in?
So I ended up getting kicked out of Montserrat because it was British and I wasn't allowed to live there after I told customs and immigration that's what my intention was. So they gave me 3 days, left there, realized that St. Thomas was a U.S. territory and I was allowed to go in there on a one-way ticket. So I bought a ticket, rocked over to St. Thomas where I stayed for 6 months. And then I bombed to Hawaii. And while I was there, I got a call from a friend who's in Japan. She's like, "Come to Japan. You can teach English." And I'm like,
"Okay."
She's like, "All you need is a college degree." I'm like, "Awesome. I've got one of those. I'll use it." So anyway, rocked into Japan. I was there for 2.5 years, then went to Guam, and then ended up meeting a dude finally who was in the Coast Guard, got transferred to Miami Beach. And he's like, "You want to come with?" I'm like, "Yeah." So ended up in Miami Beach. And then that's when after I left that dude, I knew someone who worked for a cruise ship. And he's like, "You want to get a job on the ship?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So that was 1996, I guess. And I got a job, of course. And my first European place that I met the boat was in Venice, Italy. And so that's how then the cruise ship started. Then I rocked off to Vancouver, British Columbia with someone, and then dropped that, got back on the boats, ended up in Bali, dropped that, ended up in yachting. After that, I got my first yachting gig. I flew into Long Island, got picked up, was brought out to Sag Harbor, and that's when yachting started. That was 2003. And then I was in the industry in some form or another for, God.
Solid decade, 15 years.
15 solid.
Like.
Yeah, 15 solid.
You know, what I always admired about you, what I love about you. Yeah, really, really what I love about you is you strike that beautiful balance of somebody who's got a level of intelligence. I'm being no, but you're intelligent. You have the credentials, right? To prove your intelligence. You know how it is. We slap our shit on the wall and we're like, "Look, I'm smart."
It's funny. I just found that shit yesterday and chucked it in the bin.
Well, what's funny? What's funny is my degree was somewhere in some pile somewhere. And one year for Christmas, my mother blew the dust off. She ironed the wrinkles out of it and put it in a frame for me.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Oh, I forgot I even had that."
Yeah,
but you know what? Whatever.
It
makes us such feel important. But you have the intelligence, you have the credentials, even though we roll our eyes when we say it. Yeah. But you also have the whimsy. I don't know where that word came from. I don't think I've ever used it.
What does it mean?
Means you're out of your mind. No, but you had the ability to let go of any kind of fear or any kind of like real logic or reason and say, "This is what I feel like doing. I'm going to do it," and always land on your feet. And you've lived such an interesting and fascinating life and have seen all these amazing places, whereas somebody else might be like, "She doesn't know what she's doing. She's wandering."
Right.
But really, you're living your life. So you have this balance of doing what you want when you want and landing on your feet. And it's a beautiful balance that people struggle to maintain. So I've always admired that about you. And I know you're being humble, you're like, "Thanks," but it's a special quality. I know you know this, and it's weird to hear me say it, but it's awesome.
Thanks.
It's awesome. So with that said, you do your yachting.
Yeah.
Right. You're coming to the tail end of your yachting. You settle down a little bit, right?
Yeah.
When I say settle down, you create roots.
Right.
You wind up in Jupiter Farm.
Yeah.
And we meet. We open this place.
Yeah.
And shortly after we open this place, you decided what?
That I needed to dedicate myself to my marriage. And we wrapped it up. And very graciously, Dana was wonderful about that. And off I went.
Yeah. So Ann Marie essentially had other things she needed to do.
Right.
I didn't mean to be on the spot. I was going to keep it like that nebulous. But she's like, hey.
Whatever. That's what really happened.
But really, but Ann Marie, shortly after we opened this place, about a month, it was like right before our grand opening, to give you an idea, did all the legwork, did all the creativity and all the idea setting together. And she was like, you know what? I did what I came to do. Yeah. We had a wonderful time. I'm off to do other things. And I only bring this up because it's a testament to the decency and when you're forthcoming, when you do what's best by you.
Yeah.
When you respect your friends and their decision making, we were able to. Because trust me, I was crushed. I was like, "You're going where? Doing what? What? You know." But we maintained this friendship while I continued the trajectory I was on, and Ann Marie did the things that she needed to do, and that was Rain Man with the dates. That was October of 2019, and right now we are in December of 2023, and so we
22.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Rain Man, me too.
Thank you for being grounded. 2022 going into 2023. And but we maintained friends. Recently, our relationship has gone like this. Yeah. You know, she's come to events, we've seen each other, we talk, we have other, other collaborations with one another, but we've decided to collaborate once again. And Ann Marie is the first author that we are publishing out of Phenom Publishing. Phenom Publishing, I always say necessity is the mother of invention, is a publishing company that Angela DiMarco and I have created because I had written a couple of books, one that I had self-published, one that I had published with another publisher, and one that was soon to be published, and my needs needed to be met differently. And so again, necessity is the mother of invention. We created this publishing company. Ann Marie, I knew, had been writing books for years. She had, again, Happy Hour at the Water's Edge was in the making for a decade.
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah. And she had another children's book that she had self-published, and she's got other books that are on the docket, ready to go. So we created this publishing company, and Ann Marie's like, I'll do it. So she is our first published work, and this book is so special. And what's really, really cool about it is when we had met, again, going back 4 years, I had read it and I got it and I thought it was cool. But then I read it again as a part of the editing and publishing process, and it touched me differently. Like I saw it differently because I'm different. And I read through it 2 or 3 times, and every time I'm like, oh my God. So what I really like to know is, try to do this in a couple parts. One is obviously tell us a little bit about the book, but I want to know what was the impetus? Like, what was the driving force of you writing this book?
Okay, so what do you want me to say first?
Well, I think I want to hear a little bit about what's it about? Like,
in a brief, it's about this.
Back, it's very cute. The lighting is super, super cute. I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's a tale of adventures, supernatural adventure, and it's filled with kooks, spooks, cocktails, and red go-go boots. And it's basically a journey of, self-discovery in the end is what it is, but it's super fun and super light. And I dig it. Yeah. So the inspiration behind it. So weirdly enough, I went to see a psychic back in, we'll call it 2009, 2010. I'm not good with dates, but during the reading, she flipped over this card and she's like, and I watch her face and I'm like, holy crap. And she's just basically, in a nutshell, she's like, you're going to write a book. You're a writer. And I'm like, what? And I guess the point of this is I saw her face. I never asked her what she saw. I have maintained a relationship with this woman ever since. We've actually become, good friends, and I still haven't asked her what she saw. And, but I just knew I wanted to do whatever she saw, because whatever that was,
good stuff.
It was good stuff. And so, really, I didn't believe in myself at that point that I was capable of whatever that was, but I believed her. So it was about the evolution, so this is a series of books anyway, so there's going to be 3, but the point being, it's kind of the evolution of, believing outside of yourself to all of a sudden believing in yourself. And that was when I was able to finish this book that started 10 years ago, basically, because I finally came to the point where I believed, when I read it for the last time and closed that final page of my manuscript, I was like, holy shit, this is it. I knew it.
One of the things that I always used to be angry about was the people say, when you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, always, like, I spent a decade going, someday my prince will come. Right? And people are like, oh, you just know when you know. I'm like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know if I've never known? Like, what do I compare it to? And it is that faith, that trust, that belief in yourself. Yeah. It's like, you think you know. We still kind of look outwardly for validation, for help, or for assistance. But when you finally, like you said, when you finally close it and go, oh, now I'm ready, then you know. So I guess the best way to describe when you know is there's no question. There's no, because then nobody can convince you that you don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it. That's in a nutshell. You it's a feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know. When you don't know, you do a bunch of stupid stuff till you know, and then you kick yourself for not knowing.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's and one of the point that you're making that I just want to kind of put a fine tip on is that I'm going to use the word.
Do it. Spit it out. It's got to come out.
You've got to be in alignment. No, if you've ever seen any video of me ever, every time I say this word, I'm like, but because it's so overused, but we have learned in our society to achieve and to get and to try and to overcome and to compete and all these things. But really the reality is when we have the faith in ourselves, you did not have the faith in yourself, so you trusted others. Oh, she said, that's how I wound up being an artist. Right. I had a psychic friend that was like, oh, you could go somewhere with this. I'm like, well, she thinks so. Then I'm going to do it. Right. And it took me for however long to go, oh, wait a minute, this is me. Right. And when you really, I'm going to do another one, do the work. You manifest. No, I'll stop. But when you really understand what the work is, and that's really aligning yourself, it becomes so obvious. And that's when you know. So you're writing this book for 10 years. Yeah. It's my understanding you've even handed it to publishers and made attempts. Yeah,
totally been rejected. As it evolved, I would think I was done. I would submit it to publishers, rejected. All right, fine. Shelved it for years, didn't even look at it, and then brought it back up when I felt like it, wrote some more, it became more and more, and then the last time I picked it up, I worked the last bits and pieces into it, and boom.
And then all of a sudden, a publisher showed up.
And then, it happened to be done, and guess who shows up with a publishing company, Oh.
I think we were both in alignment, and then that collaboration is able to happen once again. Right. We could not have collaborated on this a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So I bring this up, obviously, because there's so many of us that really struggle with the hows, the whens, and the whys. Right. And again, there's no ivory tower here going, you can't ask how, because every 5 minutes I'm like, how? So you have to kind of put yourself in check. But really, really, truly, when you are honest with yourself, right? True to yourself and settled and go, whew, there it is. Literally a publishing company with ease. You didn't have to jump through all the hoops.
Nope.
You didn't have to meet a stranger.
Nope.
You didn't have to put on any airs.
Nope.
Somebody who you already know and love, if I may say so myself,
You may.
is just kind of like, yeah, hand it to me. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's really a beautiful message of, again, collaboration rather than competition.
Yeah.
Of understanding, just going back to our previous relationship, understanding that when things no longer align, vaya con Dios, you know what I mean? Like everybody, we tend to get sort of, and again, I'm going to now start quoting my stuff, but like entrenched in our emotions and become victimized and reflect on feelings and whatever our own issues of abandonment. Instead, we're able to say, hey, I trust and love this person.
Right.
And this is what's for the best. And now we sit here bigger, better than ever.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Before we close out, before things come to a close, would love Ann Marie to read a little bit from the book. But before doing so, I just would like to know, in this story, and you said it's about a young girl coming of age story, so to speak, as she goes on this journey,
right?
And she begins to find herself,
right?
How much of this is parallel to your own experiences?
I mean, there's fact in all fiction, isn't there? So basically, what do you say? I mean, it's pretty freaking parallel,
Thank you, the elusive Ann Marie Skordy.
I don't know, man. I mean, she likes to eat, drink, and be merry. That's what I like to do, and I got a lot of kooky in me, and she's learning her kooky and learning to be comfortable with her kooky, and that comes. That's the evolution of self-acceptance. Like, it took me a long time to be okay with my kooky. A long time. Long enough, let's call it 10 years, because that's how long it took me to write that book. Yeah. So I couldn't come out. I mean, when would I be doing this? Never,
Yeah, this is a big deal.
It's a lot. But to be okay, to not be afraid, and just be like, this is it. I'm good. I'm going to do this gig with Dana. We just as people, we spend our entire lives becoming comfortable with who we are. Yeah. And sometimes we become what we think other people think we should do. We talked about your children's book. That'll be for another video, another day, when that gets, published on Phenom Publishing. But one of the things that we talked about was you followed some advice of other people of how it should be done. Sure. And when I held the book, and this is going to be a little weird, I could feel the difference of what that book felt like, leafing through it and stuff like that, versus what this one felt like. And this is the truest version of who you are, because you're comfortable with yourself. Exactly. And when we stop putting on airs and we stop, again, trying to become and do and say what we think we're supposed to. And hiding from yourself as well. Like, I was literally in the closet for years, running back and forth between, trying to be this kook, a channel, which I didn't understand at all. I thought I was out of my mind. So every time I would stick my foot out, I'd go running back to the closet. So I was in and out of the closet for a solid 10 until I was able to do this. Yeah. And if I could expand on the whole channel thing just a little bit more, if you're watching this, you likely understand what a channel is, but basically we all have a channel that's connected to, we would say, universal wisdom. Yep. Okay. And we have this channel. Many of us, most of us, our channel is closed down because we are doing and saying and living the lives that we think we're supposed to live. But when we're pure of heart, and it sounds a little, like fantasy, but when we truly are authentic and are aligned with our authenticity and stop, following like the rules, right? The rules that have been imposed upon us, and accept ourselves,
our channel begins to open a little bit, and it looks different for everybody. For me, it looks like this, right? For me, when I really became true and started to free myself of the ties that bind, my creativity just exploded.
Right.
For other people, it looks like writing, right? It looks like dance, it looks like song, creativity, right?
Sure.
And for Ann Marie, it looked like intel. Right? Would you be able to describe? I mean, I'm not asking you to get into the serious depths of it, but just in a couple sentences, what does it look like to be a trans channel?
God, since I don't look at myself, I don't know. But basically, the guidance just flows through. That's really the best thing I can say. I mean, the energies just work with me through my vocal cords. And transmit their energy, and through sound, through words, and through my palms, through energy. And I'm getting all tongue-tied with this because I wasn't ready to talk. I wasn't prepared. No, I should have been, but I don't know why. No, it's I guess, what was the question?
I just was, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you didn't. I guess I think the question kind of threw me. I don't know.
Yeah, because I tried to ask it in a very blanket sort of way for comfort.
You got to come at me straight.
Straight. All right. So for me, it came through art. For other people, it comes through music or for any kind of creativity. It comes through information, through.
Yeah, like I heard them. They were in my ears, and I was writing down what they were saying because they were giving me cool messages. So that it started off, I just used to write, and then it became automatic writing, and then it evolved into them literally speaking through my vocal cords and transmitting their messages and energy through me.
And that requires a tremendous amount of faith on your part because
you have to trust it completely.
Yeah.
100%. You can't have an ounce of fear. You've got to, you got to be able to just let them do their thing, right?
Yeah. And and many of us have different belief systems, and people have been taught, or again, not everybody, but have been taught, to fear certain things. Right. Oh, this is of this, and this, this is dark and light, and whatever people's beliefs are based in fear.
Right.
But when you're receiving information, because it started for you again just through meditation or just through quiet, you were writing it down, and then it eventually expanded as you became more comfortable with it. But when it's good advice, when it comes from a place of love, when it's all like, when it's you know what I mean? It's not, hey, go lock your younger brother in the basement.
Right.
No, it's all about empowerment and love.
No,
and
they were great messages, and I was following their advice, and my whole life was transitioning into something better. So I'm like, well, why wouldn't I listen to these guys,
Exactly.
And, it just was like that, and just kept on going.
Yeah. And what I love is it's such a powerful, and I, again, we're friends. So I know what Ann Marie does. It's such a unique and powerful gift, but at the same time, where something like that could begin to define you, it doesn't, because and correct me when I speak out of turn here, your whole MO in life is just about love and joy and have fun and do your thing.
And I don't give a shit about spirituality. I never have, which was the irony of it happening to me. Yeah. And that's why I was like, what is this? I wasn't looking for any of this. So, it's just crazy. It's crazy, but, I'm into kooky. Kooky jazzes me. So I kept on with it because it was like, whoa, it was good for me, good for my figuring out what made me tick. And I felt good, and I could see the results changing in my life for the better. And, the more it progressed, the weirder it got, which is right up my alley. So, it was all, of course, in line with me,
Yeah. And then you meet somebody you're in alignment with, and I'm like, oh my God, tell me more, master. It's just the coolest thing. And the reason I even brought this up is because, again, when we begin to have faith in ourselves, which is really where this line of questioning came from, when we begin to have faith in ourselves and trust ourselves and stop comparing what our selves look like to other people's selves, whatever it is, it evolves, it expands, it's an expansion of that person's self,
Right.
right? So you said it got kookier and kookier because kookier is up your alley.
Right.
Me, I picked up a paintbrush one night. I'm like, hey, Rob, how about I paint you an elephant? And now we're sitting in a Ubuntu Fish Gallery. Everything that you could see within this shot and around are paintings of mine because I pursued something solely on the fact that it felt good.
Yeah.
And that feeling good brought me to another level of something else that felt good. I met really cool and interesting people. I did really cool and interesting things. It expanded something to really cool. And that's what happened with you.
Yes.
You never allowed you kind of were back and forth in and out of the closet.
It was a battle. It wasn't,
But you still continued to trust, follow.
Yeah.
And here you are.
Yeah. But the gig is, like with me, I was getting all this fantastic guidance and wisdom thrown at me, but you got to take it and you got to do it. They may be able to speak to whoever through me and they're going to guide you because they're your guides, but you got to do what they say, and you have a choice. Everything's a choice. I didn't have to keep on keeping on with these, whoever's.
Just shut it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and like, Dana and Angela, let's open a publishing company. Okay, they did it. Guess what? You have to do whatever it is that comes to you that feels good for you. You got to, and when things feel bad and you got to change your shit up, you got to take action on that too. So it's all about the action as well, more so than probably anything, I think.
Yeah. I have a friend, her words always ring true in my head. She was always like awareness and willingness, awareness and willingness. You have the awareness of something, but if you don't have the willingness to act on it, then the awareness is worthless. But if you're acting without awareness, you get nowhere either. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm going to disagree with that.
Yeah.
Because I was totally unaware of what I was doing, but I kept on acting. I didn't know what the hell was happening. I'm serious, man. I just really started to understand a lot of, it's been gradual, but you're just flying by the seat of your pants because it's just, you're not thinking about it. You're not totally unaware, but you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess I have too fine a tip on the word awareness. Like when I say like acting, like when people are
I follow what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they are,
when you know better and you don't do.
That's yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you want to do a little read for us?
I'll try.
Okay.
All right.
Get comfy.
All right. So this is a little bit intimidating for me because I've never done this. So I'm going to start here. This is the end of chapter 1. So
give us a little
background here. Okay. So this is the beginning. So this chick, her name's Razzle Dazzle. She's out there traveling. She's like a little traveler traipsing around, and she comes to a crossroads and she's like, holy crap, which way do I go? I thought I knew where I was going, but all of a sudden she doesn't know which road to take. So anyway, out of the blue, this talking butterfly shows up and she's called the butterfly. She's like, you can call me the butterfly of balance. I'm here to help you get yourself back on the right track. The reason you don't know where to go is because you've lost your balance. And she's like, oh, all right. So I'm going to start with, after she's just been enlightened, Razzle's just been enlightened on, why how that she's out of balance. And that's why she doesn't know which way to go. So I'm going to start with her. Okay. So what do I have to do to find my balance again? Asked Razzle, getting back to business. You must start to meditate. Meditate? Blah, grimaced Razzle, wanting to puke, envisioning a bunch of oddballs zoning out on a beach somewhere. Joining that group of weirdos didn't appeal to her in any way, shape, or form, but she's already ruffled BB's wings. BB is the butterfly balance. BB's wings once and didn't want to risk a second violation by shooting her down. So deciding it would be wise to just play along, she asked in her best, inauthentic, interested voice, how do I do that? I've never done it before. You do not need to do anything special. Just find a quiet place, sit down, and breathe through your groin. What? Blurted Razzle, unable to control herself from automatically picturing a totally disgusting mental image. Just focus your attention on breathing from your groin area instead of your lungs. instructed the ever-tolerant BB, ignoring the juvenile, obnoxious outbursts. That is really the proper method of breathing. Do not worry about it. Do what is comfortable for you and simply quiet your mind. And with the wave of a yin-yang wing, the little creature flew off, leaving a dazed and confused, newly self-christened RD gazing blankly at the space where the butterfly of balance had been seconds before, asking herself, did a butterfly with spiky blonde hair really just tell me to breathe through my coochie cat? And that's that. So that's kind of the gist. And that's pretty much how I was instructed to begin meditation. And that's really my reaction.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. I cannot say enough good things about this book. And again, it's like, I don't say it because we're friends, but we're friends because you have the awesomeness and the ability to do awesome things. But the way I would describe this book, it's like if you've read The Alchemist, right? So The Alchemist is a story about one's, personal journey, but that's on the surface level. It's really, really the depth of rediscovering yourself. But it's got that Alice in Wonderland feel, there's like the people, the characters that Razzle Dazzle comes across. You got the feng shui fish and Flamer the Trailblazer. And what's really cool, and we didn't even touch on this, is Razzle keeps a notebook everywhere she goes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And in this notebook, she's got all sorts of drawings and doodles and stuff like that. So Ann Marie, in her travels, the artwork, and these are all color, like in real life, but the art, that's the
Spirit of Sunflower.
I knew sunflower. I was like, the spirit of, ooh,
Butterfly of
there's
balance.
your butterfly of balance. I want to find Flamer the Trailblazer.
He's after.
So she meets these characters along the way, and it's really kooky. Use the word kooky, I say trippy, But even in the midst of the chapters, there's just little doodles along the way, because Razzle this whole time is keeping this notebook with her on her journeys and making all her little. Oh, I love that. I'm not going to tell you. Ooh, no, I'm just kidding. Can I show this one?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
This is the very end where Razzle takes the leap. Is it too much to ask what the last line is? Or is that me just always wanting to read the last page of the book? Can I share the last line, or is that
no?
too much?
I think it does it ruin the ending? I don't know.
I'm just going to read the line,
Okay,
because
go ahead.
if there's no context. So the last line is, and as her red go-go boots left the ground, the last thing she heard is, "We will not let you fall." I love it. I've got a little tingle on that one. I don't even know how to explain that. But anyway, all of the information on how to get this book, it's going to be in the comments. Any information on Ann Marie, on what she does, how she does it, who she is. She's a very private person. I'm totally going to respect that. But if she does private and collaborative work through energy, and if any of that interests you in any way, contact me directly. Yeah. Because I'm the velvet ropes. Well, just out of respect for Ann Marie's privacy, because she does really, really great work in collaboration with other, I want to say energy workers. Yeah. I don't want to put I don't want to use the H word or anything like that, but other energy workers. She's worked with me. She's even worked with my daughter. God, multiple friends for a variety of different reasons, doing a variety of different things. I again own an intuitive lounge. I know oh my God, I can't swing a cat. I always joke, can't swing a cat without hitting a psychic medium or a Reiki healer, you know? And I have never met the giftedness or experienced the giftedness that Ann Marie is in all of her endeavors as a writer. I mean, how many books you got coming up the pike?
I got a couple, man. I got 2 more to follow that. We got Project Aura coming up in the new year.
Yep.
We've got our coffee table book coming up.
Yeah.
I've got another one on the go. I got a lot cooking.
Yeah.
I got a lot of irons in the fire.
Yeah. And the coffee table book, and I had thought we would talk about this a little bit, but I don't want to, I don't want to extend this any longer than anybody's interest level. But when Ann Marie and I first met, we decided before the gallery, we decided to collaborate both of our creativity. And Ann Marie had a blog with many of her channeled messages. These inspirational messages of wisdom and empowerment. And we combined them with my artwork and created the Soul Traveler deck of cards that we have just revamped. The 2.0 version, make it all spiffy. Got Angela DiMarco's, prowess in there. She spit shines, all of our stuff.
Amazing.
And so that is coming up. To re-release those, even though we both have them available, the original ones available for sale. But the coffee table book is taking those cards and creating a beautiful artwork and message. It's nothing like chicken soup for the soul, but it's got that feel of you want to gift it to somebody because it feels so good. Does that make sense? I said it's nothing like chicken soup. I take it back.
I don't know what that is.
Completely reject it. But it's the idea of you take these wonderful, inspirational, empowering messages with this beautifully inspired artwork, if I may say so myself, and create this coffee table book. So Ann Marie has a billion creative works coming down the pike. The work that she does is only with integrity. The person that she is just phenomenal as a friend. And again, I know I'm making you uncomfortable. I'm doing everything not to hug you right now.
Don't hug right.
But you're amazing, and I appreciate you doing this. And you make the world a better place, whether you mean to or not.
Well, thanks. But I want to say thank you to you and Angela too, because traditional publishers don't allow you to keep the integrity of your project. And by that, I mean, the editors will rewrite you're not allowed to use your own illustrations, all different rules and regs apply. And Angela and Dana allowed the integrity of this project to remain. So, which was immensely huge for me because it had to. I couldn't have published it without that. So thank you guys both very, very much.
Oh my God, it's our pleasure.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah. This is what we do now.
So thank you. Thank you for joining us. I hope you have a clearer peek into what makes Ann Marie. And
I hope I was coherent.
Yeah.
It's a great book. It really is. It's a super read and it's fun. It's just fun.
Yeah. So thank you and bye-bye.